How do food allergies create an unhealthy relationship with food? And how do you rebuild that relationship to create positive food experiences? We'll find out on the next episode of the Food Experience Unplugged video series. Welcome to the Food Experience Unplugged video series. I'm Michelle Seidling. Today we'll examine food allergies and how to reestablish a relationship with food to create positive food experiences. With us today is Tonya Tripp, who has been navigating the world of food allergies for many years. Tonya, thanks so much for joining us today. We are so excited to hear about your experiences and how to navigate through the maze of food allergies.
Thanks for inviting me.
Well, I'd like to start out with getting your food experience background. I mean, how you got to this point. What were your food experiences like growing up? What was your relationship with food like?
So growing up, I didn't probably eat a very healthy diet. My family wasn't really into super healthy food. But growing up, I was always sick. I always had stomach issues from the time I was young.
Okay.
So,
about how young do you think?
Honestly, I think from the time I was really little, I had problems with my stomach.
Okay.
And
Wow.
progressively it got worse. But I never associated my stomach issues with food. So to me, I was like, I just have stomach problems, but I can eat anything I want to eat. So we didn't really eat super healthy. I didn't really make any associations to food until probably maybe sometime when I was in high school. I started realizing if I ate certain foods, I felt better, or certain foods, and I felt more sick.
Okay.
And so I started making more connection to seems like something has to do with the food that I'm eating.
Okay. Sure.
But it really wasn't until I found out that I had celiacs and had problems with gluten, and then found out I had other allergies that I really realized how much food was affecting my stomach.
Okay. Wow. So is that, were your parents involved in helping you at all? Discover any of this?
Well, growing up, they tried. They took me to doctors. They took me to different places just to try to figure out what was going on, but no one really knew. And I don't know if it was just the time that people knew a lot less about celiacs and gluten, but nobody seemed to know. They would just say, oh, take this medicine for your stomach or take this for your stomach, and they never actually looked into bigger issues. So it really wasn't until I was in college, and at that point it was mostly just me that was going to the doctor.
Okay. So at what point were you diagnosed with celiac?
I can't remember. While I was working on my PhD.
Okay. So it wasn't until a little bit later in life.
Yeah, until I was in my late 20s.
Okay.
Probably late 20s, early 30s. So it wasn't until then, and really it was just a coincidence. I was taking scuba diving class, and I started having weird cramps and things in the water. So the instructor made me go to the doctor, and they found out I had something going on with my blood that they weren't sure what was happening, and finally they traced it back to celiacs. So it was more a coincidence that I wasn't going in for my stomach or anything.
Okay, so with celiac, so it's not just a stomach illness, it's more of a blood illness?
No, so what happened with it was, so the problem was, the reason I was cramping doing weird things was because I didn't have a lot of red blood cells. And the reason for that, my iron was so low in my body because my body hadn't been absorbing nutrients and things from food. So celiac ruins, damages the villi in the intestines, which helps absorb stuff. And so I was just malnourished, and to the point that it was affecting blood and oxygen and stuff.
Yeah. So how did you feel, not being diagnosed, later in life, but before
then, how did you feel? Were you tired a lot? Did you have a lot of different symptoms before you actually got diagnosed?
It's definitely tired a lot, but I think also you get used to how your body is. So like I think I had problems for so long that you progressively just get used to being tired or pain in your stomach or whatever it is. It kind of just becomes part of like,
Okay.
I guess this is how it is. And
Wow. So in terms of food, though, before you were diagnosed, did you start, avoiding certain foods or anything
so
like that?
before I was diagnosed, I started eating a lot healthier because I knew when I ate healthier that I felt better in general. But I still didn't know what made me really sick. So I could still eat a healthy meal sometimes and be incredibly sick afterwards. And I wouldn't know exactly, I didn't know what was causing the feeling of being sick.
So how has your relationship with food kind of evolved from the early days to currently?
By relationship, do you mean how did I feel about food or like the types of food I ate?
Your how you feel about food, kind of your attitude, I guess, toward food or toward eating, or
Yeah. So like I said before, when I was younger, I never associated food with being sick, and so I ate whatever. Like I liked food. I ate whatever I wanted. As I started realizing like food, after I would eat, I would get really sick, and so I started associating all sorts of foods with just being sick. So by the time I think I hit college, I was sick every meal I ate. Every meal. My freshman, sophomore, junior year, all those years, I was sick all the time. And I think I hit a point, I remember, where I was like, I wish I could just like drink my food. Like just have a smoothie, nothing that my body has to digest. I could just be okay.
Okay.
And then as I started changing, like just maybe more intuitively changing certain things, I could feel that I was getting a little bit better.
Okay.
And then after finding out that I had celiac, I think a lot of people have this feeling of like, oh, that's so hard. Like, how are you going to do this?
Mm-hmm.
And to me, yeah, it was a change in diet, but it felt so good. I was so much healthier and my stomach was so much better.
Mm-hmm.
By switching that, I was happy to like remove those things.
Okay.
So it was like I almost felt like I liked food more because I wasn't getting sick as much.
Sure.
And even though things were cut out, which can be hard, I felt so much healthier and like I could enjoy having a meal without being completely sick or scared that I would be sick in a restaurant.
Wow. Yeah. And how did that feel? In
In
terms of, being able to, go to a restaurant, not get sick or eat something or.
Oh, awesome. At first it's hard. I would go on dates sometimes and be completely sick. It's just not easy when you don't know what's going to make you sick, but most meals start making you sick. And so it was just a relief to finally start to feel better after eating.
Okay. Now you mentioned, experimenting, seeing what foods work or finally finding something. Can you give us some examples?
Yeah. So, well, before I knew I had celiac, I knew certain things made me sick, like really greasy food. I had no idea that gluten made me sick. But I knew that greasy food made me sick. I knew that dairy tended to make me sick, and certain things I knew that I would be immediately sick if I ate. Okay. And so I started cutting out things that I could tell that I was just sick right away. So that helped some. But then I think as I took the gluten out within days, I could tell there was a difference in my digestive system.
What does the expression positive food experience mean to you?
I guess to me, a positive food experience would to not be sick after I eat, to feel good, to have my body feel good. But I think a positive food experience would also include enjoying the food that I'm eating
Sure.
and enjoying the company or the people that I'm with.
Okay. So in light of that, how have you created positive food experiences, within the realms of, navigating with food allergies or?
So I think, well, I mean, a lot of it I just research recipes and try things out. And so I think one blessing that's come out of it is I've learned to enjoy more foods and learn how to cook more foods. And so some of the things I'll cook for other people or invite people over because then I know the food is safe and I know I won't get sick
Sure.
and then I can still enjoy food with people.
So can you give us some examples of how you've just changed your cooking techniques or different foods that you've gravitated to that have worked?
Sure. I think in the past I did more traditional American foods.
Okay.
Where now I think I look up recipes that maybe are a little different. Like I love to cook Indian food. I love to make Thai food. When I do things that are more maybe a bread or a dough or a crust, I'll use coconut flour or almond flour or other ways to create the same kinds of things, but without the wheat and the gluten. And in general, I eat a lot more just whole foods and natural foods instead of processed food.
So, what resources have been helpful for you in navigating food allergies, finding out new information, and basically kind of reestablishing your relationship with food?
I think I used a lot of blogs by people that have similar food allergies or things like that, or people that cook a similar way that I do, and I'll follow them on Pinterest or things like that and find recipes. Sometimes I just do research into what other people are doing because there's still a process of healing your intestines and a lot of other things that go on. So it's interesting to read what other people are doing and how they've overcome. And so a lot of times I just go on the internet and I'll read from certain maybe doctors' websites or things like that. Dr. Axe's website, or I think it's Dr. Hyman, or and then just other people that have their own personal experiences and things that they share.
Okay. And how have those helped you?
One, I think when you can read about other people's experiences and that they have similar and see kind of what things they've tried and what's worked for them, doesn't mean it works exactly for you, but
Sure.
it gives ideas for things like, oh, I still kind of feel this way when I eat this. Maybe this is still an issue too, or they tried a certain supplement that helped them with this, and so, I might try it out and see if it works. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. So I think it just gives more ideas into, hey, I still have struggling with this. I wonder if there's other ways or something else I could do. And so it's good to get ideas.
Are some food or cooking tips that you would you may have who are maybe someone who's struggling with celiac or with other food allergies, or maybe they have a friend or a family member? Are there specific things that you've learned as you've navigated through the allergy maze?
I guess, overall, I would say don't be afraid to try new things because there's a lot of great foods out there and a lot of great foods to enjoy. And sometimes I think it's scary when people realize they have to cut out a large portion of their diet. But to me, my suggestion would be look for ways to try new things and find new things that you love and try recipes that you would never have tried before and new foods that maybe you would never have tried before. And to me, it's kind of fun and an adventurous, like a little journey of finding things that you enjoy and new ways to cook and new ways to create something that other people that don't have those allergies can also enjoy. And it's kind of fun, I think.
Can you give us an example of how you've rediscovered food?
So I used to love desserts a lot. And when you have celiacs, a lot of desserts you can't eat anymore. Flour, sugar, butter, all the stuff that comes in a lot of the desserts. I was also allergic to dairy, so butter was out for me too. And so I still wanted to be able to make a dessert and share and enjoy with other people. And so I tried out lots of different types of desserts that I'd read about on blogs that didn't have flour or sugar or butter, and they were made with all natural ingredients. And some of them were so-so, and some of them turned out well. And I guess an example, I wanted to make a cheesecake, and so I tried several different types of crust until I found one that I really felt like this kind of tastes like a graham cracker crust, and then worked with the cheesecake part and the fruit on top. And it's something that I like to make once in a while just to share with others or take. And I love it when other people don't know that there's not sugar or dairy or things in it, and they just really enjoy the dessert.
Okay, wow. So what is their reaction to it?
So usually I prep them and say, this dessert doesn't have, it's more of a natural dessert. And I think people's reactions that they don't say are usually they're thinking is this is going to be gross. But most of the time people really enjoy it. And they tell me, I thought this was going to be gross, but I really like it.
Yes, I believe I've tried one of yours, and I was hooked. Can't really tell the difference between that and the one with all the butter and the flour.
Yeah, so it's fun when you can learn to make something that other people can enjoy, and you can enjoy it yourself and share it. Another example of a food that I learned to be better at making was Indian food. I loved Indian food. I still love Indian food, but I didn't really cook it myself. So as I got more adventurous in cooking and started making more foods and probably more confident in cooking, I would try making Indian food because I love it. And I looked at some recipes online and tried out some of the different recipes, and they were so-so. But I love the Indian food at Bombay House. And I really wanted to be able to make it like they make it. So finally I went and asked the chefs if they would teach me how to make the food.
Wow.
And
what was their reaction?
Well, I initially asked them if I could pay for lessons, and I had other people that said they would sign up for lessons too. And so I was asking them if they would do like cooking lessons, which they said no, they don't do. But they took me back and they wrote down recipes and gave me some of their homemade ingredients that they had and had me go home, and I tried making the Indian food, and I still didn't think it tasted like theirs, so I brought it back to the restaurant and had them try it. And they told me, no, you need more salt, you need more lemon, or you need more of this, and you need this special spice. And so they gave me a certain spice, and they told me different things. So I went and I tried it. And I think it was like the third time I brought it back, they were like, got it. And so anyway, they kind of taught me how to make Indian food, and that's been something that I still enjoy making and sharing.
Yeah. Did you tell them about your allergies and things, the reasoning behind your question?
No, I just told them I wanted to learn to make it,
and they were okay.
And they were kind enough to help me out.
That's wonderful. Kind of discovery and just tasting 3 times is a charm. So there you go.
Yeah.
So how has reestablishing your relationship with food helped in other aspects of your life? Have there been any skills or things that you've discovered that have helped in other situations, whether work or friendships or other aspects of life outside of food and the kitchen?
I think that it's allowed me to connect with people that have similar issues and also share food and recipes and give them hope that you could still enjoy food and still enjoy life, I guess. But I feel like I've connected with a lot of people that have similar things, and we share recipes together and ideas and things, and that's a fun side effect of everything is meeting new people and learning from them and what they're trying out. And there's been some Thanksgivings where I've gotten together with friends that have food allergies, and we've all brought our favorite dishes and things like that are just fun way to still socialize and share, I guess, the joy of food and the things that we find still to be good.
What are some takeaways that people can learn from as they navigate through food allergies? Are any tips or advice that you can give?
I think food allergies can be really frustrating for a lot of people. And I think changing your diet can be really frustrating for a lot of people, especially I think we become used to eating a certain way and maybe even addicted kind of to certain foods or things like that I think are hard to change, hard to give up sometimes. And I guess my advice would be to let go of the frustration and embrace the new opportunities.
Thanks for joining us on this episode of the Food Experience Unplugged video series. For more information, please visit our website at foodexperienceunplugged.com and on social media. We look forward to seeing you on Food Experience Unplugged, where food, fun, and memories come together.